Hey guys, time itself. And I realized I'd had this video around for a while. It says it's dated June 5th, which means it's over a year old, and I've just always been hanging on to it thinking, you know, there's that one really cool part that I really want to share with people. And I go back and watch it, and it's like, oh, that is really cool. It's just my reaction at the time, because I have the comms, is kind of like, I mention it after the fact, like, oh, huh, I guess that was kind of cool. And I guess that's a good analogy for Homefront as a game, because you're playing as like, well, this isn't bad, I'm kind of enjoying it. But, you kind of have to look back on it and say, wait a second, why wasn't I more excited at the time? Because aside from some honest, real issues with servers on release, the game stands up fairly well as best I can tell. For those of you not familiar with Homefront, it's kind of like Call of Duty and Battlefield got together and said, hey, let's take some parts from both and kind of Mr. Potato Head this thing and see what we can get. So this particular game is a 32-player area control game. And obviously at 32 players, it has a dedicated server. That's not all of the games in Homefront. Some of these smaller game modes, like the team deathmatches, might be peer-to-peer. And obviously, for me, that mix and match approach, because dedicated servers, while great, aren't always the best answer. So I really like the approach they took there. Like Call of Duty, you get points for doing things, kills, capturing points, all that good stuff, and you spend those on stuff in the game. And so here you see this proximity launcher I keep pulling out to shoot down the drones. I have to spend my points on that. I do get points if I shoot down a drone, so it tries to keep players in the action. There's so much to talk about, but the thing is that because of you building up points, this game has a very distinctive beginning, middle, and end phase. And if you don't like all three parts, you might not enjoy playing the entire game, because in the beginning, no one really has points. You see some drones, some proximity launchers, maybe some fairly cheap stuff. You get in the middle, you start seeing more stuff. You get towards the end, and that's when the helicopters start coming out, the tanks, because they're player controlled, the helicopters, the tanks, all that stuff. And then players kind of spend more points on launchers to try to take them down. But then you get to the very end, everybody's got points, and they're trying to spend them. And so you just end up in a queue trying to call in your airstrikes, and just the map kind of just explodes a lot of the time. It's not so great. So that was one kind of downside, was that there's very distinctive phases to this game, and if you don't like all of them, you might not feel like sticking around all the time. One of the other issues with this game was kind of a lack of variety. The limited number of maps and game modes, and just meant there wasn't a whole lot of variety in terms of what you were doing. Now, the other thing was, this game mode, you fight over the middle. If you push them back, you fight over that side, and if they push you back, you fight over the middle again. So as you can tell, you spend a lot of time fighting in this one central area of this map. I would compare it to Rush and Battlefield, how you're always going to be fighting on that base, and not so often on the fourth one. And that's just the way it goes. So they've spent a lot of time making these large maps that don't entirely get used as much as you might hope. One of the other things you may have noticed is that the points are spread left, right, and center instead of front to back like Battlefield. Even though both teams have fixed spawn areas, all of the points are contestable. There's no gimme points here. You have to fight for everything, and I really like that. Well, what that does kind of mean is that the deployments are a little ways back from the points, and so when you spawn in, it can take just a minute to run back into the action. So much so that when you push them back, your teammates may wait to respawn and then ask when the spawn is switched.
Have the spawns moved yet?
Yes.
Yep, just now.
Okay. I wanted to make sure before I spawned in.
Now, Battlefield 3 and Modern Warfare 3 may have taken the idea from this game, but there are drones that spot players. You may have already seen them. It's pretty much a wall hack. It puts a big triangle over the guy that's visible at any range through any cover that says, hey, there's a bad guy here. Well, it means you're not relying on the mini-map, but at the same time, if there was bullet penetration in this game, it would be insanely powerful. So, I don't know if it's because of that, but there isn't bullet penetration. And when you combine that with the fact that cover doesn't get destroyed, it means that cover can be very effective. So, plus, if you're trying to flank, you can get spotted, and it can be really hard. So, not being able to take someone out from behind cover can be really troublesome, and I think that's one of my major gripes with this game. Even with that spotting or marking mechanic, callouts are still useful.
Up in the tower looking over B.
I know how hard it is to get someone down from one of these things if you can't get explosives in there, just because all he has to do is go prone and you can't hit him. No bullet penetration.
Yeah, that one, Zach. I don't know where he went.
Yeah, sure. I have no idea where this
I
guy
should've
went
had
either.
C4 on him
You
a
called
lot
him out,
faster
and
than
I started
didn't.
throwing. I did miss a few. Nonetheless, I'm going to get up in this tower and going to start doing some work. You'll notice I used the fact that there is no bullet penetration to my advantage here too. This is the part that I wanted to share. One other thing that got really annoying with this game was their lack of prone block, where they could just stick their lower half into a dark corner and hide and look like a dead body. Yeah, that got kind of old. Unless they're marked or you have them called out, you're probably not going to win a gunfight with that camping asshole.
One up on the billboard. Sniping areas.
Now, it might be nice to cook a grenade and throw it up there for him, but you can't cook grenades in this game. Nonetheless, I guess that's what I use my proximity launcher and RPGs for. It looks like he went down, though, so I can save that rocket for something a little more important. Helicopter's trying to get away, and helicopter in my face! And then I'm like, oh, that was cool.
That helicopter almost hit me in the face.
It's trying to get away from me.
You could also speculate that players who weren't quite as good at the game didn't enjoy the fact that it took a lot of points to get a tank or helicopter, even though they were fairly easy to use and kind of a bit of fun. If the game went long enough, yeah, most anyone could get one, but by that point, people would be much more ready to shoot one down. So getting an early helicopter or tank up could be a lot of fun here, because you'd make everyone pay attention and deal with you, because you had a pretty awesome vehicle fairly early on in the game. So maybe that's one reason players who weren't quite as good didn't feel like playing this as much, is just because like, oh, I can't get some of the cool stuff, and so I'm not interested in playing. I don't know. Speculation entirely on my part. Yeah, the reason I ask these questions is because I don't entirely understand. The game has a fair amount of potential. You'll see things like, yeah, I'm getting rewarded for getting my wanted level up, but at the same time, there are more and more players on the enemy team who have been told to come try and kill me, because they're going to get more points if they do, and when I finally mess up...
Oh, almost got to 5 stars.
That sucks.
Yes, that does suck, but now I have a helicopter.
Another chopper up.
Let's do this. Finally, my biggest gripe with this game is honestly that it's only 30 frames per second and you do see some screen tearing. I don't really enjoy that fact, and it
They
hurts.
don't have a chopper up. We have a chopper up.
And that 30 frames per second hurts the close range combat. That's all I can really say about this game.
Tank right in front of our spawn. And how could I not shoot it?
Anyway, those are my thoughts on Homefront. The game it wasn't that I flat out sucked. It had lots of potential. It just wound up dying. Anyway, I'm curious to hear your thoughts. I'm going to leave you with some fun, crazy reactions from Battlefield 3. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you later.
Oh, is he wearing the PKP?
Yeah, I got a PKP too.
They're still in that corner, they're still in that corner. Slaughter, murder! Look at that. Coming at you.
Oh!